I'd like to call on Father Kevin Dyer, who is originally from Missouri, and he is the chaplain at Jesuit High School here in New Orleans, and has taught there as well, and but now focused really on the liturgical life and spiritual life of the school, and does a great job at that. And so, Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about your life and your vocation?
Yeah, so I grew up outside of St. Louis, Missouri, in a little farm town called St. Paul. And I knew nothing about the Jesuits until I went to college. I went to, it came time to apply for colleges. And my Aunt Margie said, well, I graduated from St. Louis U back in 1948 or something around then. And that was a really good school back then. So you should apply to there. So that was the reason I applied. And the reason I went there is because they just gave me the most money. So if you ask me why I'm a Jesuit today, it's because they paid me. The time at SLU was outstanding. I loved it. And I knew I was in the right place within the first semester that I was there. Liked being in a city. I liked the academic environment. And back then at SLU, there were just a number of what I called the lions of the Missouri province that were there. These old scholars who were really inspiring men of the life of both faith and reason. So yeah, Henley, McNamee, Walter Ong, George Gantz, just really amazing men. And there was one time in particular after my English class that Walter Ong, who I had no idea that he was, probably the most, outside of philosophy and theology, the most published Jesuit of the 20th century, comes and speaks to my intro English class. And when it's finished, we just walk around SLU's campus talking about this, that, and the other thing. T.S. Eliot was born at the base of where that building is right there. And that and a number of other things just really set me on fire with a love of learning during those years at SLU. And also, I got to see the life of Jesuits who were involved deeply in service. So my fraternity did a service trip to East St. Louis, where two Jesuits were living and working at the time. And I was really inspired by the way they'd given their lives to serve people in a poor section of the city. So it got me thinking about it, but toward the end of my time at SLU, I started dating somebody, was kind of bouncing back and forth about where to go, what to do. I ended up going to law school for a year. But it was while I was at law school that the thoughts really came back into my mind of being a Jesuit priest. And it really, to me, was, I would say, an invitation. It seemed like that way, the Lord saying that this is something I'm offering to you. But also, a sense that that I needed to make a really radical decision. That it was very possible to take the easy way out of getting a good job, making a decent paycheck, being a quote unquote good guy. But the Lord was calling something different out of me. And I mean, that was the decision, of any that really changed my life. And I still look back on it with a great deal of gratitude to God for the way he was working on my heart at the time. As a Jesuit, I did my studies at St. Louis U and at Boston College, and did most of my ministry in high schools, which was, I would say, something of a surprise to me. It was not something I expected going in. And let's say I did 3 years at Regis Jesuit High School Girls Division in Denver, Colorado. That was quite the experience. I knew it in the back of my mind. The whole family knew that that was the way it was going to go, because I have 3 younger sisters. So I'd always say, I don't understand women, but I am accustomed to them. That goes a long way. And the 3 years at Regis were great. I can remember the last year that I was there, at the beginning of the school year, walking into the school building, and my heart was just kind of hurting. And I realized it was because I knew that I'd have to say goodbye at the end of the year. And that's very much been my experience at the different places I've been sent. You know, if you put your heart into it, if you love the people that are there, it will hurt at the end of the day, but it will be very fulfilling. So after I was ordained a priest, it was time for my next assignment. And sure enough, it's back to Denver, to Regis Jesuit High School Boys Division. And so I spent 3.5 years at the RJ. And, you know, it was those were really, you know, good years also. If any of you guys meet Connor Smith or Peter Bell along the way, they were both students at Regis while I was there. Peter Bell was in my first freshman class that I taught. And then after that, I did my tertianship in Nairobi, Kenya, the last stage of Jesuit formation. And then when that was completed, started up the work here at Jesuit High School in New Orleans. And I love New Orleans. I love it, love it, love it. I love the food. I love the drink. I love Mardi Gras. I love the neighborhoods. You know, just the sense of community where you can just walk out anywhere and run into people that you know. It's a great city, and a great school. Really enjoyed being here at Jesuit. And my job is, you know, pretty straightforward. Teaching, running retreats. We just had a Kairos retreat last weekend. All school masses, you know, things of that. We have a very active sodality program that I'm head of, and it's just been really good. It's also been a good opportunity to stay in contact with graduates of the school. We got John Nutley here online. Got a lot of, you know, good men that are out and about from here. And then 3 years ago, I started up a part-time job with the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. It was a group I got involved with as just my first year of priesthood, helping out with their new staff training for their missionaries going to campuses. And yeah, oddly enough, most of my work with the spiritual exercises occurs through that route. And so I do a lot of 5-day and 8-day retreats for focus, classes in discernment of spirits, all sorts of different things. And it's been a real blessing going around to a lot of the campuses in the South to be able to work with the missionaries, students, but then also see my former students from Jesuit and really get a sense that, you know, there's a good thing brewing just, you know, around the country and around the South, of, you know, a lot of cooperation taking place and a lot of people being led to the Lord, I guess you would say, through the efforts of a lot of folks. This Wednesday, I begin my 8-day retreat, and then on December 8th, I'll profess my final vows as a Jesuit. And so just today, one of the kids from the school newspaper was interviewing me, and yeah, it was a lot of fun talking with him. He said, "Well, which of the vows, you know, would you most want to talk about? You know, which has been most interesting for you?" I said that obedience was the one that going in, I probably thought the least about. But one of my law professors, you know, he was really, I wouldn't say scandalized, but that was the one he really wanted to ask me about. But obedience has definitely been the vow that I've both struggled with and gotten the most grace out of. You know, the fact that we do not choose our own life, but, you know, our life is given to us in a way. And it's been, as I said, the source of struggle, but also the source of a lot of grace, because I think God's, you know, done some really good things in my life and introduced me to some wonderful people and ministries along the way. So yeah, looking forward to final vows and what the Lord has in store after that. So thank you all.